cross-resurrection through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, DZRL Batak, DZKI-IRIGA, DYKB Bacolod, DYKC Cebu, DXKS Surigao, DXKO Cagayan de Oro, DXXX Zamboanga, DXKD Dipolo, DXKT Davao, DXDX General Santos, RPN Radio Philippines Network.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda. DZKI-IRIGA. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
CNN Philippines Hour sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta alas 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines Hour.
That the document was submitted to the DOJ this morning and that Espinosa himself appeared online to confirm his signature this afternoon. Espinosa said he was quote-unquote coerced, pressured, intimidated, and seriously threatened by congressional hearings on the killing of his father, Mayor Rolando Espinosa, in 2016. The younger Espinosa said he gave more than 8 million pesos in drug money to De Lima through her driver, Ronnie Dayan. It was supposedly for De Lima's senatorial campaign. But in his latest counter affidavit, Espinosa said he had no dealings with the senator and never gave her any money. He even apologized to De Lima for his false testimony. Espinosa is detained at Camp Bagong Diwa facing his own drug cases. His lawyer said his transfer there from the Witness Protection Program following his alleged attempt to escape gave him the courage to tell the truth.
Ever since na ma-cover siya ng WPD, ang presumption niya is that if you're a witness for the government, you will be utilized as a witness and the cases filed against you will be dropped. No? Yun ang condition niya eh. But from the time na maging maipasok siya sa WPD, never siya nag-testify or was utilized as a witness for the government. No cases were dropped. And continuously, the government files case against him, tuloy-tuloy. Nung wala na siya sa jurisdiction ng NBI, ang sabi niya sa akin, sige attorney, gawin mo na yung counter affidavit. Kasi nga, mas-secure siya feeling niya sa BJMP.
Espinosa's camp expects that the withdrawal of his confession also weakens the drug charges against him. Back to you.
Amor, what will the impact be on Senator De Lima's remaining drug cases?
Well, Pia, Kerwin Espinosa's lawyer refused to answer that, saying that Espinosa was never used as a witness by the prosecution. But for the camp of Senator De Lima, his lawyer, attorney Filibon Tacardon, said it only proves that the Duterte administration fabricated the testimonies against De Lima, and the De Lima camp is also hoping other witnesses will tell the truth and name those who coerced them to testify against the senator. Of course, Malacanang has been saying that the justice system works and there's evidence against De Lima. That's why she was incarcerated. Pia?
Amor Santos there reporting. In the end, the truth will still come out. These are words from Senator Laila De Lima's lawyer reacting to this major development. Attorney Filibon Tacardon saying Kerwin Espinosa's affidavit, quote, only proves the length the current administration has gone to fabricate testimonies and evidence against the senator. Tacardon also hopes other witnesses will come forward and confess, how they were pushed into making false testimonies and naming those who actively participated in coercing them. For vice presidential candidate Senator Kiko Pangilinan, he says it is high time to set De Lima free, especially after Espinosa backtracked on his allegations. De Lima has been detained since 2017. He is seeking re-election under the Robredo Pangilinan slate. 2 months before he steps down from office, President Duterte admits he was wrong to believe he could end the illegal drug trade in 3 to 6 months. This is one of his campaign promises. Acting presidential spokesperson Martin Andanara says Mr. Duterte did not know the depth and complexity of the drug problem when he ran in 2016. Here's the president in his own words.
It was campaign time. Payabangan naman yung kampanya. Pagdating ko sa Maynila, dala ko yung chief of police ko, yung si Bato, yung binuksan na yung records. Paano ako 6 generals of the PNP were playing with drugs. Sabi ko, paano tayo mabubuhay nito? Ang pulis, imbes magtrabaho, nabibigyan rin. So it corrupts it destroys the fabric of society. Over time,
the chief executive urged rebels engaged in drug trafficking to back down. Health workers have identified more close contacts of the country's first case of the Omicron subvariant BA.2.12. With this new subvariant, health experts say the more people need to get their COVID-19 booster shots. Carolyn Bonkin reports.
The 52-year-old Finnish national arrived in the country on April 2nd without COVID-19 symptoms. But 9 days later, she experienced a headache and sore throat. On April 11th, she tested positive for COVID-19 with the Omicron subvariant BA.2.12. Health authorities found 44 close contacts, including those she interacted with in seminars in Quezon City and Benguet, as well as her co-passengers on the plane. 2 of these contacts were tested and both were negative for COVID. Another one in Quezon City has scratchy throat, but it's not yet clear if that person got tested.
We are considering the 14 days incubation period. What we are doing right now is closely monitoring and trying to do sequencing also among these individuals na nandun po sa mga nakasalamuhan.
DOH is still unsure if she got infected in Finland on the plane or here in the Philippines. Health authorities not discounting BA.2.12 is already in the community.
The possibility is there. We know the limitations of our testing. We know the limitations of our sequencing.
BA.2.12 is an offshoot of the Omicron variant, but Vergere coding study says while it causes less severe infection, this subvariant is 2.5 times more transmissible than Omicron, which was earlier considered as the most transmissible variant. Infectious disease specialist Jean Solante says getting a booster shot is more important now than ever. Like Omicron, BA.2.12 diminishes the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccine.
Because of that, the risk of more people that will be getting the infection will always be higher compared to the previous variants of concern.
When combined with super spreader events this summer and election season, the country might be looking at another surge in cases.
That's why we have to constantly monitor uptick of cases. We strictly follow the health protocol at all times, even especially with this coming election. Pa-booster na tayo dahil meron ng threat for a subvariant.
So far, majority of the samples checked for variants in the country have Omicron. Caroline Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
4 people were killed after an old steel bridge, the Clarin Bridge, collapsed in Loay town in Bohol. A dozen vehicles fell into the Lobok River on Wednesday afternoon. 23 persons were rescued. Half of the vehicles were retrieved. Bohol Governor Arthur Yap says assistance will be given to the victims. Officials are also seeking an investigation into the incident. Coming right up, a fresh COVID-19 surge poses a threat to the country with just days before the Filipino votes. What steps is the COMELEC taking to address this? And this Filipino basketball star is taking one step closer to realizing his dreams. More about Kai Soto's entry into the NBA rookie draft when we come back.
What makes a nation grow? Every day we see them. The providers grow. Every day we see them. The providers. The traders.
Welcome back. The Commission on Elections insists there are safeguards to protect over 65 million Filipino voters amid the threat of another COVID surge ahead of May 9. Melissa Lopez reports.
COMELEC stands firm. The May 9 polls will proceed as scheduled despite the threat of a fresh surge in COVID-19 infections.
Sigurado po tayo, suspension is not an option.
We have contingency measures. So, kung yung mga may spike, the Committee on New Normal has prepared on how to respond to that. Kahit anong mangyari, we will have an elections. Laban kung laban.
This reassurance came a day after health officials detected the first case of the Omicron subvariant BA.2.12 from a Finnish woman who visited Quezon City and Baguio City and then left for abroad. Contact tracing is underway. Commissioner Ray Bulay says the 1987 Constitution mandates the poll body to hold the elections specifically on the second Monday of May. In fact, the poll body formally asked President Rodrigo Duterte to declare May 9th as a non-working holiday to encourage registered voters to cast their ballots. COMELEC earlier signed a multi-agency deal with DOH, DILG, DepEd, and DND to ensure that health protocols will be enforced on voting day. Masks are a must for all voters and physical distancing must be followed at all times inside a voting center. For areas that remain under alert levels 4 and 5, face shields are mandatory. The DOH earlier suggested time limits for voters to keep areas from overcrowding. Despite the Omicron subvariant detection and the huge campaign crowds in the past few weeks, COMELEC says a strict implementation of the protocols should keep election events from becoming super spreaders. Other last-minute preparations are underway. Ballot boxes and transmission devices have been fully dispatched. Half of all ballots were deployed, while nearly all of over 106,000 vote-counting machines have already been farmed out to local hubs. Defective ballots are set to be shredded on May 7th, while the media transparency server for tallied votes is being readied at the UST Quad Arena. It's all systems go as far as COMELEC is concerned. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos is not participating in COMELEC's presidential panel interview. His spokesperson, Vic Rodriguez, says Marcos chose to visit supporters and attend to prior commitments instead of taking part in the COMELEC event scheduled for Sunday, May 1st. Marcos skipped the two COMELEC presidential debates. On the other hand, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno says he is open to attending the panel interview if his schedule permits.
Bakit hindi? Ang ano naman natin dyan, kung yung mga commitment, katulad ng nasabi kanina na marami pa tayong probinsyang babalikan at pupuntahan at munisipyo. But if the schedule will allow, yes, of course, I'll be happy to join. Nag-a-apply ako sa trabaho. Ang nag-a-apply sa trabaho, hindi naman namimili kung paano siya i-interviewin ng kanyang future employer.
COMELEC was supposed to hold its presidential and vice presidential town hall debates this weekend, but canceled them because of conflicting schedules of candidates. Well, the campaign heats up with only 11 days left until the Filipino votes. Supporters of Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Leni Robredo face off in a shopping mall in Makati City. Security guards try to defuse the situation, but passionate supporters in red and pink kept jeering at each other. Marcos met with nearly a dozen governors, including the governors of Benguet, Cavite, and Laguna. His campaign says they discussed efforts to protect votes. Isko Moreno, who is in the city of Bacolod, brushes off charges filed against him in connection with the sale of the Divisoria Public Market in Manila. He and 5 other Manila officials are facing a graft case before the Office of the Ombudsman after the popular flea market was sold to a private company.
Yun naman yung mga traditional politician. Alam ng tao yun. Alam ng tao yun. Basang-basa sa Maynila yun. Hindi nila matutulongges yung mga taga Maynila. And I wish them good luck. Matatanda na sila. Alam na nila ang tama at mali. Katatapos lang na Semana Santa. Ano sabi ni Jesus? Ama, patawarin mo sila. Hindi nila alam ang kanilang ginagawa.
Senator Ping Lacson plans to collect the Marcos family's unpaid estate taxes that has since ballooned to 203 billion pesos if he wins the presidency.
Siguro kung lumabas yan panahon ng mga ibang presidente, baka siningil na yan. Hindi na sana umabot ng 203 billion. So that should be collected because that should be government's funds, dahil tax collection yan.
Senator Manny Pacquiao wants to appoint businessman Mimo Osmeña as finance secretary if he wins. Osmeña is the president of MRC Allied Industries. He's also the son of former Cebu Governor Lito Osmeña. Pacquiao earlier said his campaign manager, mining magnate Buddy Zamora, will lead his economic team. The retired boxer is campaigning in Leyte, the home province of former First Lady Imelda Marcos, the mother of his rival, Bongbong. Well, how is Isko Moreno coping day-to-day in his campaign? What has he learned so far? And was running for president worth it despite being a shoo-in for re-election as Manila mayor? CNN Philippines spoke to Moreno in private as part of its exclusive one-on-one series with presidential candidates. Paulo Barcelon with the highlights.
Despite multiple shifts of support from his home base, presidential candidate Isko Moreno Domagoso is grateful for people supporting him from the beginning. He said his happiest moments are seeing supporters in the streets and in rallies.
Ang nakakatuwa lang sa kabilang banda, whether umuulan or kasagsagan ng araw, people are going out of their houses when we're in their area.
But this 47-year-old candidate recognizes how hard campaigning can be. He's conquering fear of heights in instances where he flies to reach remote areas. He says he only gets a maximum of 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day. And despite his family going all out in support of him, it's their company of his wife Daini and his children Patrick, Frances, Joaquin, Franco, and Drake that he longs for the most.
Parang cabinet na lang yung bahay. You go, then repeal yung maliit na maleta kasi 2 days ka rito, 3 days ka doon.
In a one-on-one interview, Moreno was asked about his campaign funds that sparked controversy when he admitted keeping 50 million pesos worth of excess campaign donations in the 2016 elections.
At this time, feeling ko walang excess fund. Ay, muka. If and there is no law, at may sumobra, babayad ako ng buwis.
Like what you did the last time?
Of course.
All right.
If elected, he promises to emulate his personality as a Manila mayor by working round the clock. He says a Domagoso administration will be politically colorblind in making appointments, and that he will also have a slot for two of his closest allies.
Doc Willie is
Okay,
one,
give me two more.
Basta, yung two more kasi nando sa kabilang dako. I don't want to create animosities within their group. But I do believe in that guy. Saka yung babae na yun.
Polito Banaya, where would you put him?
Oh, he'll be in Malacanang, definitely.
As well.
Closer to me. I need wise
Executive
people.
Secretary, ganon?
It can be, but it's closer to me.
For the final question, Domagoso had to answer if his decision to run for the presidency was worth it.
At least ngayon, masasabi ko sa'yo, I had a very good decision in running. Tama pala na tumakbo ako ng pagka-presidente. Unang nakikita ko, para bang yung assessment ko, hindi makakamove on ng bansa natin sa mga bagay na dapat natin ginagawa para sa kabutihan ng tao at ng bansa. Kung ang mangingibabaw sa atin, puro higantihan na lang.
Paulo Barcelon, CNN Philippines.
CNN Philippines also sat down with presidential hopeful Senator Manny Pacquiao as we help the Filipino voters choose their candidate in the run-up to Decision Day. We asked Pacquiao if he got a sign from God on whether or not he will continue his fight for the presidency.
Yung sinasabing sign ay mas pinatibay pa ng Panginoon yung paniniwala ko. Pinatibay pa ng Panginoon yung paniniwala ko na tuloy ang laban para ito sa for God and country ito. Yan ang nakikita ko, kaya tuloy ang laban.
Catch senior anchor Rico Hizon's in private conversation with Manny Pacquiao tonight at 8, only here on CNN Philippines. Imagine driving without having to pay mind to rising fuel prices. This perk, as well as the environmental benefits, has driven the government to encourage using electric cars. Our senior correspondent Lois Calderon reports a large company also stepped up to support the e-vehicle shift.
Gas remains expensive, and it's giving the auto industry and motorists a solid reason to go green. Big names like SM Malls are jumping on the clean energy bandwagon. The property giant built charging stations for e-vehicles for free.
We all know that, gasoline prices have shot up, no? So this is very timely.
It takes 8 hours to fully charge an e-vehicle at the mall's parking lot. That's a lot of electricity. But the mall giant is relying less and less on power from the grid and wants to source half of its energy needs from renewables by year-end. SM's bonus: the mall gets more foot traffic.
You don't have to even wait at the parking lot, no? So they could just go out, dine, shop, watch a movie.
Electric vehicles are nice to have and are ideal, but they are not cheap if manufacturers cannot produce in volumes that cut production costs. To date, there's just a little over 12,000 electric vehicles on Philippine roads. They're not even cars, but you see them in places like Boracay Island, which bans other diesel-powered public transport.
E-jeepney, e-tricycle, so meron na tayong ganoon. Pero yung kotse, kailangan pa natin ng manufacturers. And para mangyari yon, kailangan ma-encourage mo muna na maraming users.
The shift to clean vehicles, however, could gain momentum, and government peddles incentives to get there. The roadmap that charts where the electric vehicle industry should go is ready after President Duterte let a bill lapse into law this week.
Sinama natin siya sa CREATE, yung Strategic Investment Priorities Plan, na entitled sa mga tax incentives, no? At saka lower income tax rate. Tapos we're thinking of giving more incentives yung hindi nagamit sa CARS program. Mag-allocate tayo para masuportahan din yung local manufacturing ng electric vehicle.
Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez was referring to an ambitious program laid down by the Aquino government to boost local car production in a way where local parts suppliers are not left out. Only Toyota and Mitsubishi qualified for those tax breaks on the condition that the two big brands can make 600,000 cars within 6 years. And they have yet to meet the target. Lois Calderon, CNN, Philippines.
Stories ahead, including the latest in the basketball world. One of our kababayans has declared for the NBA rookie draft. Details when we return on Newsnight. Welcome back to Newsnight. Many economies, including our own, have drowned in this pandemic, with tourism leading the way to recovery. How are Filipinos rising to the challenge? Lois Calderon brings us back to El Nido in Palawan for the answers.
El Nido Resort in Miniloc Island recycles wastewater for use in flushing toilets. When the coral garden near the shoreline becomes infested with starfish known as the crown of thorns, the resort's in-house biologists ask locals to help clear the infestation without chemicals.
We have been extracting the predators over long periods of years, okay, in such unhealthy numbers. Now we have this predicament where crown of thorns starfish could infest a reef and annihilate, huge areas of coral reef.
Behind any successful sustainability programs are the locals themselves, but advocates rally support for tourists like you and me. Simple gestures like not feeding the fish with bread, not using single-use plastic water bottles, and not collecting seashells could have an impact that benefits not only this generation.
El Nido gets high praises from the World Travel and Tourism Council, which released a set of global criteria for measuring how hotels and resorts save water, what chemicals are used for linens, and how they reduce carbon emissions, plastic, and other waste.
They might already be ahead of the game, but the point here is not about the hotels that are ahead of the game, though they're already on that journey.
Travel data analytics firm Forward Keys says the Philippines and Singapore are early winners, emerging from a pandemic-driven drought, while rivals like Thailand, Indonesia, and Japan have yet to fully open. With the influx of tourists, it's inevitable that mom-and-pop hotels and resorts, the SMEs, jump on the sustainability bandwagon. El Nido could be that local model for a sustainable blue economy.
I'm feeling great. I'm thinking of starting to work from here, more far in the Philippines.
Lois Calderon, CNN, Philippines.
In sports, Kai Soto is ready to take his talents to the NBA. The athlete has declared for the 2022 rookie draft, fresh from his stint at the Australian National Basketball League. Soto thanked his team, the Adelaide 36ers. Now here at home, the UAAP Final Four cast slowly taking shape. The NU Bulldogs keep their semi-final hopes alive, beating the still winless UE Red Warriors 100-81 today. The De La Salle Green Archers have reason to celebrate with the squad entering the Final Four. La Salle defeated Adamson 64-51. And the Ateneo Blue Eagles just one win away from an outright final slot. They kept their unblemished record by beating the FEU Tamaraos 70-53. FEU, NU, and Adamson now tied for fourth place. Sunday's games at the Mall of Asia Arena may determine the final four teams. And that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Honteveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. That's for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by
The latest Lilo survey for March puts Bongbong Marcos way ahead of the pack with 61% voter preference. Denny Robredo has 19%, Isko Moreno 9%, Manny Pacquiao 6, Ping Lacson 2. The numbers taken from March 15 to 22 survey. 3,000 respondents plus minus 2% margin of error. The last Robredo showed up at debates and colored so many areas all over pink earlier. Pidi Balzaga picking up a few endorsements here and there. Moreno hanging in there, believing he still has a fighting chance. Significance. Pacquiao saying on Monday only joined us via Zoom and still withdraw from the with us. And Lacson orbited by a major Mindanao politician choosing to resign from his own party, announcing a change to his Melvin campaign Matibag is tagline. here also. And So, teka muna, what else is there to say? Consistent okay,
survey
wait,
front runner.
Melvin,
Debates
sandali lang scheduled we'll speak first to
just today,
Lawrence because I
an
wasn't able
endorsement
to
from the
read that
National
intro
Lista
for
Party,
you. So we'll talk first
Manny
to
Pacquiao,
Congressman
father,
Fortune.
one
Stand
of his
by,
senatorial
Melvin.
candidates.
Okay,
The
so
juggernaut
Congressman
Marcos
Fortune, so
candidate,
why
formidable.
Lenny? What else is there to do for those who want to defeat them? The
Well,
vice presidential
ako
candidate
naman,
suggested the
very
last
personal ang basis ko na
We
for
should start
supporting them.
talking.
I had observed her up
Nobody
close when we
among
were
us
together
can
in
defeat
Congress
Sara
during
among
our
the
first
VPs.
term. No, when we
And
were
nobody
nearby
among the presidential
representatives
candidate can
of the
defeat
in the
Bongbong
House.
Marcos.
And
If we do not start
I observed
talking
very
now
closely
and come up with a
Lenny's
single
style
slate, a single
of
tandem,
working.
para
She's
one-on-one to
very,
defeat
very
Marcos
diligent,
and
no,
Sara
napakasipag. She
Duterte.
worked from
Sino ba
morning
yung
to
third most
evening,
powerful
and she
person now?
knew
Kahit
what she
naman tingnan
wanted
nyo
to
dun
do
sa survey.
while she was representative.
I
And
don't mind
admire
supporting
very much her
Senator
administration,
Soto,
especially in the areas
no?
of
And I
people
don't mind
empowerment,
supporting
no,
Lenny
transparency,
Robredo,
and
if that
accountability
is
in
the case.
governance. And
Will that
especially
be enough for
the
here,
bills
so
on
days before the
inclusive,
Filipino
no,
votes?
and participative governance. So these are very important bases for me for supporting.
Well, let's go local, Congressman Fortuno. Explain to us the dynamics there in your district, 1st District, Agusan Norte, so that we can better understand why you're going for Lenny.
Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix. Politics as usual. We begin tonight with Vice Presidential candidate Rizalito David joining us here in the studio, together with analyst Richard Hedarian, who will sit throughout the whole show. So, Lito, David, that proposal of yours, when you said that a few weeks ago, had you already spoken to anyone before you opened your mouth
for
the debate
people from
venue?
different sectors, and practically from from different
Pero yung
walks of life,
sinabi ko nung Sunday,
who share
may nauna na akong
collective
press conference
aspiration
na
for
ginawa noon
inclusive and
pero hindi pinikap masyado
honest and
yung
accountable
proposal na yun.
and
Iba
competent
yung inilabas
governance,
na
no?
material.
She started with not
But
much
nung ano
support
kasi,
Iba yung effect
from
nito eh.
local
Oo,
political leaders,
kasi ito
but there's a very
Anyway,
strong
nung
sense of volunteerism
footage
on the
kanina,
part of those
that
supporting
was
her
before I went into
on the basis of her
venue.
concrete track
So,
record
nung nagdatingan yung
and
ibang
genuine
kandidato,
advocacies
in-interview na rin sila doon tungkol doon sa proposal
for
ko.
accountable and
So
transparent
pagdating namin
governance,
doon sa loob, kinausap ko naman
lahat
sila
ito,
isa-isa eh. Mali,
nakikita
with the
natin
exception
sa
of
mga
Kiko.
developments.
So,
Why
hindi
with
ko
the
nakita.
exception of Kiko?
Talking
Hindi ko
about
nakita.
unity.
Pinuntahan ko
I
sa mga
think that
cubicle.
VP Levy is
Even
the
si
kind of
Senator
candidate
Soto,
who's been
ganyan,
able to
sina
build
Walden,
unity from the ground
si
up,
Manny.
Ano sinasabi
which
nila
makes
lahat?
it even very
Well,
strong.
open
and
naman sila
stronger
to discuss.
than those of the others
Open to discuss these
because
things.
of
Kaya
the
lang, ang
foundation
problema
upon
dyan,
which that kind of unity rests.
hindi lang pwede na kami
And
mga
I
vice
think this will
presidents.
manifest
Talaga,
in the
yung
in the
yung buo,
days
kasama yung
leading
ulo ng
towards the
bawat partido.
elections.
Can you give us
So,
a little bit
nung
more of an
inilabas ko
idea,
yung sa final
mga
statement,
alignments dyan sa
alam na
local
nila yun.
politics, who
Alam na nila na,
who are the other
although hindi ko
politicians who are for
sinasabi
the
na
other
yun yung magiging
presidential
final
candidates?
statement ko. And then even after
Well,
that,
yung mga bagong
I went
developments,
to see
you will
some
see
of
that
them
only
again.
in Mindanao, but
Okay
also
ba?
different parts of the
Usapan
country.
natin.
Ano sabi?
Okay.
While there's this
Ang
recent survey
hinahanap ko
that has
ngayon
been
yung
released only now, I would
magpa-facilitate.
rather want to see the
Kasi
surveys
alam mo, hindi naman basta-basta yan na
that the next surveys
magsasama-sama lang
that would
kami.
be more reflective
Alam mo
of
naman
the
sa
impact
politika,
of more
ma'am,
recent developments
medyo
on the
syempre,
ground.
what's in it
This
for
has
me?
been shown by
Para dun sa iba.
spontaneous and remarkable groundswell that
Yung
we have
nitty-gritty
seen,
nitong grand
not only
coalition
in
na
the
aking
mammoth
proposal,
rallies, but
medyo matagal
also
yung
in the
proseso nun.
recent
Pero in
declarations
principle,
of support
dapat nag-a-agree
from
na
local
kami
political
ngayon
leaders.
na
And
isa na lang ang
I
kandidato
think all of
ng
these
for
will
vice
have
president
an
na
impact,
non-administration
in the days to come.
candidate. Tsaka isa na lang
Yesterday,
sa
you have
presidente
Northern
ng
Samar,
non-administration
all
candidate. So,
mayors,
ang mangyayari yan, in fact, ang
the
sinasabi
vice
ko,
governor, and
sana yung
the
last
congressman,
na
all declaring support for
magiging
VP
debate
Levy.
ng
But
kandidato
before that, you
na
have Miss
sponsored
Amos
ng
Oriental,
COMELEC. One-on-one na.
Julia
Bongbong against who?
mayors, all
Sara
declaring
against
support
who?
for the vice president.
Hindi,
And you
mas
have,
maganda kung di sila
about the
pumunta.
same day, following day, 15 more mayors from Lando
But they will lose by default. No? Ang kagandahan nito kasi wala naman ako sinasabing mag-withdraw yung mga kandidato. Ang sinasabi ko, continue on campaigning, but campaigning for the person that we chose. And then, siguro dun sa final 2 weeks, we'll have 3 or 4 grand rallies na lahat ng kandidato for president at lahat ng kandidato for vice president supporting yung dalawa, nando doon, no? Iba yung impact nun sa taong bayan. Pag nakita yun, bakit mo ganyan, no? So, matatabunan lahat yung mga naunang projections eh.
Yeah, a while ago you said na ang hinahanap ko yung may mag-facilitate but you've been talking to them. Well, impact, so are there any, you have BBM in the Lilo survey, no? The latest Lilo survey, Marvisha, 61%.
Meron naman pag-uusap. Kaya lang yung magpa-facilitate
and then everybody else like a fourth, third, fourth, and fifth.
Kailangan merong semblance
ang impact kasi nitong mga to,
fair, magiging fair ng mga
someone impartial. So, sino yun? Who are you looking for?
Well,
and is it going to happen? It's March 29.
It has to come from
declarations of support that have been happening almost on a daily basis in the last few days.
Faith-based leadership, meaning
posibleng CBCP would be seen
I think yun lang naman ang pinakamaganda talaga. Not exactly yung high up in the hierarchy of the clergy.
Yeah, but can Lenny still win against BBM if
ng mga commissions,
Isko, Manny, and Ping
para
are still
hindi rin
running?
naman makakompromise ang CBCP kasi hindi naman talaga dapat.
Lito, what you're saying tonight is that there are serious talks. Can Lenny still win even if all the others are still running or still in contention? So that because earlier anyone would we have Lito David here, VP candidate, and I'm sure you're aware that he did make a proposal for VP candidates, and that's what you're saying.
Yes, I'm hoping
for all of them, well, the rest of them to unite against
Richard,
BBM and
what do you
Sara,
think of this?
Is this going to be the
resolution, kumbaga, no?
here.
Because
Yun ang
the
pinag-uusapan
reason
namin
for
kanina.
this proposal by Lito David
It's going to be a very welcome
well, to
development
defeat
of
this
all the other
BBM Sara
candidates
impending
rallying behind
victory.
a common
I mean,
candidate. And that should
that's why
be
sinasabi ko dati pa na
Lenny,
kailangan natin ng runoff elections,
she's the one
diba?
closest to
That's
the
the whole
front
point
runner.
of runoff elections. Had
But
countries
I
like
believe
Peru
that there's
or
no
Chile,
withdrawals,
if they didn't have runoff elections, they would have a
from the other
radically different
candidates. I
leadership
think,
right now. Would have been the
Lenny
daughter
has
of
just
former
to
dictator
continue.
Fujimori. It would have been a
This
pro-Pinochet
is a
guy.
marathon,
So because
there's
wala
still
tayong
in the
history of
middle
runoff
of the
elections, and
campaign
for me,
period.
I don't know about the
And,
geniuses who came up with our
much has been
constitution, but
happening
why
on
no
the
one thought
ground,
about
and,
it? We
we
don't
believe
have
that
this
there will be
culture of
continuous
real
stalwart
coalition building, which is really a give and
And I
take,
think
which is
although,
really a matter of faith.
there's
No, it's a matter of
there's little
conviction
time, but I
thing.
think
At
it's
good
not
luck
impossible
getting that
to
in the middle of a
finally
game.
make it.
Kaya nga, we should have done.
Yun nga
Kaya nga
lang,
may
sabi
one
nga ni
sambayan
Richard
proposal in
Hidayat
the
dito
past.
na
That's
if
why there were
anything should
some
happen, it should
discussions
happen
between
within
the
March,
ISCO
which
camp
is-
and Pacquiao
it's
camp
ending in
and
2
Lenny
days.
camp,
But anyway,
etc. But
stand by lang,
eventually it
Congressman
petered out,
Fortuna.
and then
Let's
you had
speak now
Senator
to
Lacson saying a few months
Melvin
ago, well,
Matibag,
let's just
because,
go all in the
shortly
game, and
after-
later
Yeah,
on
and
we
then
figure
let's
it out.
see
Yeah.
Laban
Once-
he said that,
yeah, exactly.
For those who are lagging in the surveys, let's bow
And
out.
I think
But
now
they're
is the
all there.
time. But my point is,
does this
in
mean
the
a
meantime,
presidential endorsement
the other side
can't be too far
sorted it
behind?
out.
So
I think the
before I
moment that
ask you
Sara
about that,
Duterte and
Mr.
Bongbong
Matibag,
Marcos
let's
decided
talk first
who
about
will
that
be
latest
the
Lilo
standard
survey.
bearer
So
for
you
the
have
administration, the game
61%
radically changed.
BBM.
Because I had both Sara
Sure
and
winner na ba
Bongbong
yan?
ran, we would have been a
Unless-
I would have even doubted Bongbong Marcos running for the presidency had Sara decided to move forward, right? So Bongbong Marcos was 13% in the second
Unless-
quarter of last year. He jumped to 53%. A lot of that is the Sara Duterte numbers plus some multiplier effect and all. So this is the telltale of our situation. The opposition, the first ones to talk about unity, until now hindi sila unified. The ones that we thought would be really head-to-head, being the House of Duterte and House of Marcos, that both of them were sensing it, they could stay in the game. Eventually, they had the middle persons, whether it's President Arroyo, whether it's the Romualdez's, who worked it out. And now we are seeing it. The chickens are coming home to roost for the opposition. They didn't do their assignments. They're waiting for the last minute, 11th hour.
So you have nothing to worry
Ito nga rin yung
about, Mr.
sinasasabihin ko eh.
Matibag,
Kung
in
ikaw
other
yung
words.
voter,
Unless, let's say, what if mag-unite na?
Wala nagbabakot. And
mag-unite
ito pang
bigla
sasabihin
ang
ko,
opposition.
it's possible na
You
kung
have,
magbabakot
VP
ibang candidates, the
Lenny,
numbers actually go to
Isko
Bongbong Marcos.
Manny, you know,
That would
what
further
if,
fit, he could
biglang
reach 70%
magsama-sama
even.
sila? Kahit
If you
hindi
look
sila
at his
mag-withdraw ng
second
candidates.
preference
Yeah.
numbers.
Oh, and then that is the argument that some of the candidates would use. Worry then, or it won't matter to you?
That is why you have to openly endorse the other candidate. Hindi pwedeng magbakot na. Talaga you have to openly endorse. Kaya nga, agree ako kay Sir David na, I mean, they have to come out and really support. Hindi lang ayaw pa sa laban na to at mag-walk out na ako. But I mean, for me, there's no such thing as April surprise in the Philippines. It's more like March surprise, right? Hindi
But
tayo
March
katulad ng
surprise,
US.
it's March 29. There's only 2 days
That's
left
what
to
I'm
go for
saying.
this
So if
month.
there was going to be big alignments, realignments, ito na yan, second half of March. In fairness naman, we see some interesting discussions in Mindanao, for instance. We see some of the supposed supporters of President Duterte actually backing Lenny Robredo, the whole Rosa, for instance. There's a little bit of Isa, there Isko and Sara. So I think some realignments are happening. So for me, ito yung paradox. The surveys are showing a very clear front-runner, and yet maraming undecided among the traditional politicians, including the current president, on who they're going to endorse. So yun lang yung paradox sa akin. If the surveys are so compelling, why is the president and a lot of people actually not siding with him yet? Do they know something we don't know? Are there other surveys?
Or maybe they're hoping for something.
Or they're negotiating for something. Kasi para sa akin, mga politiko, they got
who cares for an endorsement of the president now?
Basta nila, sometimes they're even better than mga social scientists or mga people are doing surveys. So that's why I'm really wondering, maybe there's something they know and I don't know. Kaya hinahabol ko talaga lalo sa mga Mindanao politics and all. So there is a fluidity, but I think the window is really closing. I think April is too late because if maalala mo natin before elections before, April is the consolidation time. Remember that's when they had all of this expose against Duterte. It backfired. These numbers even went higher. So for me, we are already that the window is closing.
Well, Chinito brought this up 2-3 weeks ago, di ba? And then,
exactly.
It's just, going so slowly, nothing's happening, I mean.
Let's keep walking into disaster. I'm not sure lang iba siguro dito.
Going through the tulips. So the window's closing.
Dalawang malaking issue laban sa inyong kandidato. Number 1, itong estate taxes, unpaid estate taxes. And number 2, itong, yung sinasabi nila, the party,
Sorry, before cutting
quote-unquote, the
for
party
me,
that was
the game here
formed
is not just beating Marcos for the opposition,
to fight
but the
against
margins
a
matter.
dictator now
I think a Marcos who
endorsing
wins
his
40%
son.
will be
You
different
don't
from Marcos who
care,
wins
right,
70%.
about those
Yung
issues. It
sense
doesn't
of
matter because, well, the survey
confidence,
shows you
sense of
number
vision
one
will be
candidato.
very, very different if he becomes the first majority-based president in recent memory since the surveys were. I think Bongbong Marcos, we could see a much more aggressive and assertive side as opposed to, let's say, 40% and plurality-based Marcos. I think margin matters. And I think the performance of the opposition matters kasi magiging yung impact niya sa mga support base. If they lose bad, baka madidismaya yung mga supporters nila. But if they lose a little bit close, baka the opposition can still remain a bit coherent and important force after the elections. Kaya for me, at some point, Plan B will be margins game. If it's not a victory game, it should be a margins game.
In other words,
This
you
is
moved on.
realpolitik. We are where we are, and I think the opposition has to ask some very tough questions and look at really some serious Plan Bs there if they're not going to do the consolidation right on time. And I think window is closing very fast.
So if they don't, you're saying that if they don't unite the opposition at this point in time, you know, they can kiss any hopes of victory goodbye na talaga. And like you're saying, Plan B na lang, margins na lang pinag-uusapan.
Yes,
That's it.
but margins matter too.
All right.
So
No,
the issue po of
but
excise
do you
tax
think
pala
there
yan.
is that sense that they
I
do
know-
want to
I
win,
know
that
na ang
they
excise-
want to
the
win, or
issue na
they want
excise
to
tax
defeat
is still
BBM? Because
pending
even
with the
Lenny
court.
herself
So
has
wala
said
pa pong
before,
final
di ba?
yan.
She's going to
And
run
even if there's a
BBM is
finality,
running for president.
ang
And then I
liability
asked her
po ng
before, late
estate
last
tax
year
is
in an
not
interview, I
addressed
said,
to the individual
do you want him disqualified or do you want
The
to
estate tax
slug it out with
is
him in an election?
the
I would rather defeat
responsibility
him in
of
an
the
election.
estate.
So you,
Ibang
there's that
tinignan niyo po
mindset
yung- yung batas yung meron pong separate person.
Okay, Sir David, maybe you want to pitch in because you were one of the guys involved here. And then I'll come in.
Authority to the court,
Hindi, ano lang
how they will
naman,
decide on it, and not to
sa
mention
akin,
na
bottom
more
line
than
talaga
10 years na
talagang
po yan.
Jimmy kasi.
I don't
Well,
know if
isn't-
prescription already set in.
For people
But isn't
like us,
BBM the
yung
co-administrator of
generation
the estate of his father?
Nangapital kami.
Well, ang sinasabi ko
Kumbaga,
nga po, ang estate tax, ang liability po
risk
ng
our
estate
lives
tax
fighting the
belongs to the
dictatorship
estate.
then.
So,
So, hindi ito
not
punto
to
lang
mention
ng
that
politika.
the
Meron
case is
akong
still pending with the
pinaghuhugutan
court.
dito eh.
And sabi
Ayoko
ko nga,
maging presidente
sa
si
batas
Marcos
po,
kasi
meron po mga
maraming beses
tinatawag na
kami
prescriptive
muntik
period
nang
yan
namatay
So
nung
if it's
panahon
over
ng
10
estudyante
years,
kami.
I think that is a question
Marami
of law
akong mga
that I'd
kaibigan
rather
na
leave it
pinatay.
to the
Yung mga 18 years
expert, to the
old,
authority, and that is the court to
torturin
decide.
bago
But
papatayin.
BBM is
Ganun.
co-administrator of his
So,
father's estate,
sa
correct?
akin,
Well, on
kaya
the
kung
record, kung
tinutulak
yung
talaga ito,
lumalabas yung estate,
hindi ito
kung na yan
lang-
is kung siya
ano lang
co-administrator, it
politika lang
doesn't
eh.
necessarily follow that the
I think a
administrator
lot
is the
of-
one liable.
a lot of
And if there's a
of
court
the people,
order
who
which is
belong to my
final, that's the time
generation,
that you execute
Ganon
it.
din
But
ang
from what I
feeling.
know,
Kaya
the
iba
case
yung
still pending
mangyayari
in the
kung
court, so I'd rather
magsasama-sama
give it to the
kami,
court.
mas malaki
Alright.
yung magiging suporta. Plus,
Mr.
ang
Melvin
hindi natin
Matibag
tinitingnan.
of PDP Laban and Kong Lawrence
Matagal
Fortune.
nang hindi
I hope you can stay
gumagalaw
till
ang
the end of the
simbahan.
show. You're still going to be joining us via Zoom to end the
Baka
show.
yung
More from our guests
problema
when we
natin na
return.
baka
This
hindi
is
umabot.
Politics as Usual.
Pwede pa rin umabot kung lahat ng mga pari, no, lahat ng mga madre, lahat ng mga obispo ay sasali dyan, hindi lang Catholic Church, no? Posibleng ibang simbahan. Meron panlaban. Meron pa. Kasi merong mga hinanakit din yung mga yan nung panahon ng martial law. Kaya yun yung mga obispo ngayon, yun yung time na
For our
sila
final
yung
stretch,
nandoon,
this is
yung
Politics
mga
as
paring
usual. Our
bata
guests
noon.
still join us via
Yun
Zoom.
yung mga
Melvin
kasama namin
Matibag
noon
and Lawrence
eh.
Fortune and
Okay.
former Secretary Renato
Lito
David
David
and Richard Darian and stay with us until the end of the
David
show.
still
We're
here
going
in
to
the
talk
studio.
when we come back. We're going to
Just
talk
to wrap
the
things up a
alignments
bit
on the local level.
Your thoughts
and
muna,
so many other
Richard.
things.
Ang
Everything
dami
that you've
kasing
heard
mangyayari.
from Lawrence Fortune.
We'll be back after a quick
Melvin
break. Stay
Matibag,
tuned. This is
Rene
Politics as
Villa. Ang dami na naman pinag-usapan that doesn't necessarily mean there's maraming nangyayari, ano? And then let's combine that with, you know, all these endorsements that have come out, different governors, mayors, etc. for either Lenny or BBM, etc.
Well, I mean, first of all, ito yung mga tinuturo sa university, a classic collective action problem. Each party have an interest to protect. And for some of them, it's not only about these elections, it's about what's gonna happen afterwards, no? Kahit matalo ko, but if I also alienate my base, then what's gonna be my political future, right? For others, they're thinking about potentially cutting the deal with the victor, no? So this is the problem, collective action problem, because each of these parties, candidates have their own interests. The other thing that we have to keep in mind also is the second preference numbers. Both Lacson and Iskov, relatively high second preference numbers. So they're still hoping na kung may mangyayaring bandwagon, yung reverse bandwagon, it will actually benefit them
in the
right?
administration
Rather
of
than
Fidel
other
Ramos,
candidates,
people
which brings me to the
thought
other
could do
point.
an FVR.
If you want to make
Ramos
this
ran
race
and
actually
won
more
in 92,
competitive,
by the way,
actually
largely
you
on
would
his
want
EDSA 1986
people like Isko
image
actually to pick
and
up, for
solid
instance,
track
because if you
record
look at Isko,
as
he has
Cory
very
Aquino's
high
Chief of
second
Staff and
preference,
Defense
and he has
Secretary.
very high
Fast forward
overlap
to
with
2021,
Bongbong
Ping
Marcos,
Lacson joins
not with
Reforma and
Lenny.
becomes its
So
chairman.
realistically, the only way
Party
this race
chairman,
can be a
party
little bit
president
closer
Esteban
among two or
Alvarez
three
was once
candidates is
Speaker
if
of the
Isko
House,
picks up at
only
the
to be
expense of
ousted in a
BBM.
coup so
Because
ably
if Isko
supported by
withdraws,
Sara
it's
Duterte.
very
Just
possible that
last
BBM
Thursday,
picks up
Partido
more numbers
Reforma
than Lenny.
dumped
So there's
Ping
also
Lacson
an issue
in favor of
of
Lenny
sino
Robredo.
magbe-benefit in
So we
terms
had the
of
rather
if some
awkward
of the
scene of
candidates
Davao
get
del
out.
Norte
And the last thing I
Congressman
want to also emphasize here, of
Lenny
course,
critic
as I
Bebot
said,
Alvarez
the paradox
explaining how they
is
came
among
to
the
the
surveys
turning
are
point
suggesting my
while
runaway winner.
apologizing to
And
the
yet if
VP
you
at
look
the
at the
same
underground,
time.
you
So
see a
Ping had to
fragmentation
resign
in
from
the
the party, saying his
administration
campaign is still go,
team for that
albeit with
matter.
a different tagline.
If you look at
Renato
Mindanao,
Devilla,
so
founder
there
of
are two
Partido
major
Reforma,
blocks we
joining
have
us
to
now
look at.
via
One is
Zoom.
the
Secretary
Mindanao
Devilla,
block, which is
magandang
quite
gabi po sa
coherent
inyo
up to
and
the
thank you very
natin
much for
2019.
taking the time
And then
to
you have
stay
millions
with
of
us.
new generation Z
Magandang gabi sa iyo,
voters, right,
Pia,
who are
at
coming
saka sa
in,
iyong
who
mga,
may be a bit more
tagapakinig.
soft in terms of their hierarchy
Sir,
of choices.
do you like what's happened
Those
to
two
the
could
party
still
that you
swing. That's why there
founded?
could
I
be
mean, you
some
have this
fluidity
perennial
here.
smile on your face, pero sa
will it
loob,
necessarily swing
ano
in
ba
favor of the
talaga ang
opposition against
naiisip
administration?
nyo?
That's a big question. But the one thing I
Sa
want to
totoo
emphasize here
lang,
is this. Mukhang walang problema
gaya
in
ng
terms of
sinabi ko
supporting
sa
Sara.
public
I think Mindanao
statement
is
ko,
solidly behind
wala akong
Sara. The
kamalay-malay
openness
na
is on the
magkakaganon
presidential
yung,
candidate.
dalawa
Because I
ni
think when you
Ping
look at
at
the
saka
solid
ni
South, they
Bebot
close the
Alvarez,
ranks on the national
Congressman
level
Alvarez.
when one of them is involved.
I
But
knew
Bongbong
it
Marcos
only
is not
from
from
the
Mindanao. And we know the
announcements
Marcos
in the
dictatorship
media
had a
or,
very
in
negative
the,
history in
in
Mindanao.
the
And that
internet
is why I'm not
that,
surprised some folks from Cagayan, some
Ping
folks
Lacson was going to make
from
a
Lanao,
public
etc., are
statement
more
regarding
comfortable
the
with the
party
Lenny
and,
presidential candidate rather than the Bongbong
Congressman
Marcos
Alvarez
candidate. But at the same time,
will have
maybe
a
okay
press
to be Sara
conference,
Duterte as being the vice
about
presidential
the
candidate. So
matter.
I think these are the things that we have to keep in mind. Yeah.
I just
What do you think
waited
pala of
for it
these,
because
yung mga
ang position ko
Lenny,
naman,
all those
Pia,
pink
is
rallies that were happening in different
almost
areas,
irrelevant
you know.
already because
You know, is that good for the
It
vote?
creates
You know,
enthusiasm.
Alvarez is the
Yes, it
president
creates
of the
enthusiasm.
party,
It
Ping Lacson
projects
is the
power.
chairman.
It projects
I am only
momentum.
the
I think mahalaga yan dun sa
chairman
mga hindi pa
emeritus,
masyadong clear dun sa
an
gusto
honorary
nilang,
position
let's
that
call
they
them the
gave me
bandwagoners
as
or soft
founder.
voters. I think
or
this is
thinking of
Okay,
well,
party.
apart from the fact,
yes,
like
second
you said,
choice,
you
etc.
only
And
learn
honestly,
about it
pagdating sa
through the
surveys,
media.
I'm not very clear
But
the
do you like what
hierarchies
happened?
are that clear in a sense that
Of course, I
talagang second
didn't
choice
like
sila, second
what
choice. I think
happened, and I
the
don't
hierarchy
like
is a little bit more
what
fluid.
has happened
Nonetheless,
because,
we have to be clear.
It's a small
Each
party as of
camp
now,
on the opposite
and
sides
it's
have
still trying
never
to get
the other
on
candidates.
its
There's like
feet
never
and,
Marcos and
get
never
wider
Lenny.
support.
And that's why I'm saying, if you're
This has
Isko
been the
or
work
Lacson to a
of,
lesser degree, you would still
both
hope
of
that
them,
as
but
your
mostly
high
of,
second preference could
Bebot
still pick up,
Alvarez, when
and in
he
this
told
case,
me that,
mostly at the
he
expense
will
of the front
establish,
runner. So that's something we're not talking about because we're assuming there's
members
only
and
two sides
leaders,
of this race.
at the
When there are other
provincial- at the
sides, you
provincial
still can
level.
pick up because of high
So I
second
said,
preference
maganda
numbers.
yan.
We have the
Bebot,
last
para
6 minutes of the
lumaki
show. We're going to get
partido.
final words first
Binuhay
from
kasi
everyone. Let's
niya ito
begin
eh.
with
Alam mo,
Secretary Rene
Pia,
De Villa, Chairman
I
Emeritus
might
of
as well
Partido
explain
Reforma.
that
Secretary De Villa.
the party was already deleted after
Pia, I just find the discussions very
2004
interesting.
elections. I
As
think.
you know, I'm just an observer of the whole situation.
That was
now,
our last
even if I
participation,
am
wherein
totally
we
supportive
fielded,
of Ping
we
Lacson.
fielded Frank Sanchez as our senatorial candidate.
discussion,
And I joined, or the
congratulate you for
party
it.
joined with from
Well,
the
I have good guests.
of Lito
Including you,
Osmeña
sir.
and
Thank you, Secretary De Villa. Congressman
Action
Lawrence
Democratico
Fortun.
of Raul. And we fielded Raul against GMA.
I find genuine
Well,
hope,
the rest is history.
in the recent declarations
And
of
after
support
that,
of local political leaders.
the party
despite
did not
the
participate
numbers,
in any election
that would
anymore.
only mean that this
Then,
recent declaration
declarations of support
2020,
are not results
Bebot approached me
declarations of
and
support
asked
for
if
political expediency,
he
but
can revive the
rather these are
party.
cases of local
So I
political
said I will
leaders
check with the
keeping
others
their
and
good
find out if they
conscience,
still want
and
to
putting
revive
the
the
interest
party,
of the
because
country first.
Bebot said
And
that
since that is the strong basis for these declarations of support,
and he actually
I
called me
expect
also,
that there would be a continuous
Secretary Kusi
declaration of
wanted
support also from
to
other political
revive the
leaders
party
around the
for
country.
his
And
own
we would
purposes.
notice later the snowball of
So
support
Bebot being an
for
original
real reforms.
congressman of
No?
the party
Malayo
in
pa ito
98,
at kami naniniwala
and he was the only one
magtutuloy-tuloy
asking
ito.
for it. So
And there will be
when
more
he asked me if he can
leaders that will be
file a document
to be
for the
mastering
revival
your
of the
stall,
party, I
to
gave him the
be
gossip
on the
now.
right side of history,
And so he became
especially this
the
2022 elections.
worker of the party
Thank you,
for
Congressman
almost 1
Fortun.
year, trying
Mr.
to
Melvin
get it
Matibag of
organized at
PDP
your
Laban, sir.
level, and then later on,
Just
we
like what
formalized
Congressman Fortun
the
said,
organization
the support
with
of
Ping Lacson
PDP
as
Laban to
chairman.
Senator Bongbong
We have
Marcos
talked to
is
Ping
not for
Lacson
political
also
exigency,
before,
but also some
together
product
with
of a long
Bebot,
deliberation. And when
they
Senator
told them
Bongbong
we're
Marcos
friends,
agreed
and
to carry the
they
11-point
agreed
agenda of PDP Laban, that
to
seals
run
the
the
deal.
party, so to
So
speak.
yun talaga yung naging
Well,
basis
I guess
natin
that's
dito.
what happens
We're
when
looking
you
for
lose the
somebody
speakership
who
of the
will
House. Now you have
continue
to
and
go
push
find a party to
the
resurrect. Pero Secretary De
development
Villa,
and the projects that started with
what should
President
Ping Lacson
Duterte.
do now? I know you
doon
said
naman talaga
that
tinignan
you're
yan.
still going to
Yun yung
support him,
tinitingnan
and
ng
he
mga
has
local
said that
leaders
he's
natin.
still running as
Kaya
an
naman yung local
independent at
leaders
tuloy-tuloy
ng
lang ang
PDP
kampanya.
Laban
Pero
ay
sa totoo lang, ano ba talaga
bumubuo
dapat
suporta
gawin na
sa
nila
tandem
ngayon?
ni Senator
Kasi kanina ang
Marcos at
pinag-uusapan
Mayor
namin
Sara
dito sa
Duterte.
studio,
And thank you very
together with
much
Lito
for
David,
having
VP
me in your
candidate,
show,
and
Ma'am
Richard
Lee.
Hederian,
Melvin
analyst,
Matibag,
is
Secretary General, PDP
how
Laban,
some people
easy
need to get their act
fashion,
together and get together if they want to defeat the BBM Sara Tandem elections. Anyway, okay, final
actually,
words now from Lito David, VP candidate.
I'm not close
Naniniwala
to
ako,
the
Pia,
group
na hindi pa tapos ito.
that is running the affairs of the
Maraming
party.
puwersa pa yung gagalaw. Kung
Because,
magkakausap-usap lang,
as I
kaya
said,
pantalunin si
I'm
Bongbong
just
at
an
saka si Sara.
honorary chairman
Hindi
now.
naman to hindi naman to, kumbaga,
when I talk to Ping,
matatapos lang sa ganyan.
To me, he seemed very
kung gagalaw
determined.
yung lahat ng
No matter what
simbahan, for
happens,
example, kaya
to
pa.
finish the
Yun yung aking hope.
the
Kaya
fight, so to
mas
speak.
maaga ko nang
Ang
sinabi
sabi nga
yung
niya,
proposal, hindi na ako
lalaban
nagpagtumpik-tumpik
tayo
pa.
hanggang sa
Kasi kung
dulo.
April ko pa sasabihin,
Ngayon,
totally wala na.
Of course.
Inagahan ko na nga.
Well,
Kasi
sir,
nakita ko
given
na yung
the-
numero.
yeah, given the
The reality,
yeah.
Importante
is a
na
little
pag-aralan
difficult
maigi at
for him
mag-usap-usap na
right
tayong
now.
lahat. Let's
He is not
let's do
inclined to
the
withdraw,
kumbaga,
nor he is inclined to
noble act.
affiliate
The
with
noble act,
another
selfless
party.
act.
As far as I
Meron pa
know,
naman kayong dalawa.
maybe there are things that I do
Pwede
not
pa
know.
naman ang April.
Well,
Well,
here's
if
the
that's
question
true,
this
okay,
way,
now I want to
Secretary De
reconsider what
Villa.
I said.
Tayo po, you are
mamaya
a
mambash na
PMA
naman ako sa
graduate,
Hidara. Tapos na
1957.
laban.
Si Ping
No,
Lacson,
let me put it this way, no?
1971.
Hindi
Among
po matapos ang
PMAers,
ating
you have this
politika,
way of
demokrasya
talking to each other.
by the ballot
And,
box
among
later
PMAers,
this
there's
year.
this cadet
There'll still
lingo,
be
for
democratic
example,
struggle. There'll still be politics.
meron kayong
Kaya
sinasabi
mahalaga
na
what
take
we're gonna
life
do during these
halimbawa,
elections
or-
until the very last moment.
So if you were,
Because you want to
if you were
set a
going
good
to,
precedence
have a
for the next
one-on-one,
elections,
man-to-man
for the
talk
next
with Ping
chapter of
Lacson,
democratic
what
struggle
would
in
you
the
tell
country.
him
Kaya nga,
to do
in that
now?
sense, hindi
If
tapos
you
ang
could
laban,
tell
and
him
I
what
don't
to
think
do.
it will ever end in that
Yeah,
sense.
go ahead.
So I think
I will,
that's
of
the other
course,
thing that I want to emphasize here. That's why it's not
lay
only about
out,
winning and losing, it's about how you
the way I
fight the
see
good
the
fight
ground
and
right
what
now.
precedence you set
And,
for the next generation. And as a millennial, down the road, we hope there'll be
continue to
next generation of
encourage
leaders
him,
down the road.
that,
We're watching what our
we will
the adults
continue
in the
to
room are
support him
doing, right?
because,
Para you set
there
a
are
good
also
precedent.
many
I'm trying to be politically
females
correct. How can I put it?
to
The
him
adults
that
in the
are
room,
working
right?
hard
Pinapanood namin kayo. And the
make
Gen
him,
Zs who are the first
go
time going to join, they want to see also a
in
good
the
fight,
ladder of,
a
the
noble
surveys.
fight by
So,
all sides, no? So
there is
for
very
me,
little
in that
time
sense,
left.
hindi tapos ang laban. And March is
And I
not
know
the
that,
end point
and
of
that,
everything.
And let's work for
the
runoff
people
elections.
seem to
Or
be
And
you know,
that has
some
been my
form,
advocacy.
some form that will
Now,
not allow 10 candidates running for president and 9 for
I
VP,
think,
Perhaps
no?
we have to shift na to a parliamentary
the fight
form.
is
So
not
we
over
have no
until
need
Which
for
will be
that.
the priority of the next ad. And that's what I'm saying. If the margin is very big for the victor, maging mas madali sa
then it'll be
kanya.
easier for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying
And
margin
he-
matters.
he's
If the
moving
winner
up.
is a 70% guy,
But
he
he
can
is,
probably change the constitution in the first 2 years.
I think
Okay,
he is
natatakot ng mga
committed to his
producers kasi baka
followers.
mag-OT tayo. Dahil iba na yung
And,
pinag-uusapan
I know.
natin. Parliamentary. But anyway, di bale,
It will be very
magpapakito tayo,
difficult for
babalik
him
naman kayo.
to
And Richard, I'll see you
withdraw
on
and abandon
election
his
day, of course, May
followers,
9
especially if
that
there are
evening.
those
So
who are
thank you to our
running,
guests. Earlier,
under
Secretary
his,
Renato,
wing.
Rene de Villa of Partido Reforma,
this is
Chairman
exactly
Emeritus,
what happened
Melvin
to me.
Matibag, Tignidaban Pusi
In
Faction,
98,
Congressman Lawrence Fortuna, Agusan Norte,
when,
1st District, who is
in
with
April,
Lenny
I
Robredo,
was
VP
secretly
candidate
shown
Nito
a
David, who's
survey
made
that,
that
I cannot
proposal
make it, and,
for
I was
a
even
united
advised to
front
withdraw.
against BBM and Sarah,
But,
and Richard Haydarian, an
I
analyst.
found myself on the
Ang
very
tagal, no?
difficult
Before we saw
situation
you
in
again, so
terms of
welcome back to
withdrawing,
CNN
because,
Philippines. Thank you
there
so
are,
much for being here. We've been told
we
before,
have in
don't
the
talk
party
politics
then,
at
which
the
was a
dinner
little
table
bit stronger
or at a
than
family
now.
reunion or in Viber groups
We
and
had
risk
the
digital
congressional
warfare.
candidates,
But we can
we
talk
have
about it
mayors,
here at
governors,
this table on the show. Your
councilors,
weekly political
and I
appointment
think
fix
if we
politics as
count
usual.
all the
I'm Pio
councilors
Honteveros. See you back
after
here next
the-
Tuesday, 8 p.m.
After the election, I think we have had more than 500 winners down the line.
First on radio, DZKI-IRIGA welcomes CNN Philippines to bring you the latest. News you can use, news you can trust. Listen to Newsnight, weekdays, 6 p.m.
We now go above and beyond the headlines.
Followed by Med Talk, Health Talk.
We'll talk about how to keep ourselves healthy during the pandemic.
Politics as usual.
In this country, not everything really goes according to plan, and politics is as usual.
Up close and more. Catch CNN Philippines Hour on DZKI-IRIGA. Weekdays, 6 to 7 p.m.
Sa pagpili ng liderato, laging tatandaan, dapat nasa kanya lahat ng katangian na maka-Pilipinas. Taong may respeto sa buhay at pamilya, makabuluhan at matinoong pamumuhay. Siya yung makapagtataguyod ng kabutihang panlahat, di mangiiwan, makakasama ang lahat. Malinaw ang pananaw sa makabagong bukas, makatwiran at patas pakisama, at higit sa lahat, maka-Diyos siya dapat. Sa pagpili ng liderato, laging tatandaan, dapat nasa kanya lahat ng katangian, maka-Pilipinas, maka-Pilipinas.
Gabayan ng Pilipinong bumoto ng responsable. Yan naman ang aming
Panatang Maka-Pilipinas.
Iboboto ko Maka-Pilipinas.
Makabayan sa lupang sinilangan.
Makataot may respeto sa buhay at pamilya.
Siya ay makatuwiran at patas makisama.
Masigasig tumulong makaahon ang bawat isa.
Makatarungan, makalingat, maalalahanin sa kapwa.
Makakasama ang lahat, siya'y di mangiiwan. Siya ay makapagtataguyod ng kabutihang panlahat.
Siya ay makabatas.
Siya ay makatotoo.
Siya ay may malinaw na pananaw para sa makabagong bukas.
Higit sa lahat, siya ay maka-Diyos.
Kaya't ayaw niya ng karahasan. Siya ay makakapayapaan.
Iboboto ko ang isang tao na makakalayaan.
Isang leader na makakalikasan.
Isang Pilipinong makabuluhan at matino ang pamumuhay.
Sa isip, sa salita, at sa gawa.
Gabayan ang Pilipinong bumoto ng responsable. Yan naman ang aming panata sa PPCR.
Kumakalat breaking tweet ni at hindi ito scam. All caps, gamot sa cancer. Question mark, miracle tea, exclamation. Mapa stage 1, stage 2, stage 100. First 100 emoji to DM will be healed with good hair.
Huwag paloko, mag-fact check muna. Ang totoong balita, tunog tama, dapat tama. Isang paalaala mula sa KBP at ng istasyong ito.
Click number 2. Order now. Arrow down, arrow down.
Bye! Bye! Bye!
Oh, ano na naman?
Ano nga ni ito sa numero kan Ako Bicol Party List?
18. 18 ang numero sa baluta kan Ako Bicol Party List.
18?
18! Yan ang hanapon mong numero sa baluta sa lindong kan mga party list.
Ah, tatandaan ko na. Numero 18 ang Ako Bicol Party List.
Iboto ang sarili. Ako Bicol Party List. Katabang na, kasurug pa. Numero 18 sa balota. Made for by Ako Bicol Party List.
CNN Philippines Hour sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta alas 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines Hour.